Hello, everybody, and here's another day with Mrs. Piggle Wiggle. Yesterday, Hubert was stuck in his room because he had such a mess he couldn't get out, and they were handing food up to him through the outside window. I wonder what's going to happen today. Is he going to get out? I hope so. Mr. Prentice came home from work and hid his face behind the evening paper and said, "Something smells delicious. Is it Irish stew, I hope?" "Yes, dear," said Hubert's mother, worrying about how she was going to serve Irish stew to Hubert on a rake. She finally put a potato on one prong, a carrot on another, and an onion on another, and pieces of meat on the last three. The window was opened only about 3 inches, but the hand grabbed the food. After dinner, Hubert's father tied the hose to the rake and held it up while Hubert put his mouth to the window opening and tried to get a drink of water. It was not very successful, but he did manage to get a few drops. Mrs. Prentice was worried. The next morning she knocked on Hubert's door and said, "Hubert, what are you doing in there?" Hubert said, "I've got a bear pen made out of bureau drawers, and my bed's the mother bear's house, and my train runs under my bed 13 times now." "Hubert, dear, don't you think you should try and come out soon?" asked his mother. Hubert said, "I don't want to come out. I like it in here. All my toys are out and I can play with them any old time I want to. This is fun." His mom went downstairs and called Mrs. Piggle Wiggle. Mrs. Piggle Wiggle said, "Oh, but he will still want to come out. Wait and see." That afternoon, about 2 o'clock, there was music on the street and children's voices laughing and calling, and pretty soon, right past Hubert's house marched Mrs. Piggle Wiggle and all the children, and right behind them came the circus parade. Hubert managed, by putting one foot in a bureau drawer and the other in a freight car of his train, to get up to the window and look out. He waved to Mrs. Piggle Wiggle, and he called, and Mrs. Piggle Wiggle, and she called, "Hurry, hurry, Hubert. We're going to march all over town, and then we're all going to the circus." Hubert turned around quickly with the idea of getting to the door and joining the fun, but the freight car went scooting under the bed, and the bureau drawer tipped over and hit him smartly on the shins. Hubert began to cry and to try and kick his way to the door, but everything he kicked seemed to hit back. He kicked a building and a big block fell on his toe. He kicked a little builder office building and it fell over and clotted him on the back of the head. He kicked a book and it hit a lamp, which fell and knocked a heavy wooden elephant off the bedpost onto Hubert's shoulders. He could hear the music of the circus parade growing fainter and fainter, and so he cried louder and louder. And then he heard a tapping at his window. He crawled over and reached out. It was the rake. It had a note on it, and he took the note and opened it, and it said, "The only way you can get out of that trap is to put everything away where it belongs. If you hurry, we will wait for you. Your friend, Mrs. Piggle Wiggle." Hubert began by finding the little builder's box. He took down the office building and put each piece in its place, and then he put away the stone blocks and then the train tracks and the circus and the soldiers and the paints and the chemical set and the printing press and the books and the fire engines, the automobiles. He played little games pretending that he was racing someone to see who could find the most parts of the game the quickest. He had to take off his pajamas and shake them in order to find the soldiers and circus that he thought that as long as his bedclothes were off anyway, he might as well make his bed. It was so lumpy when he finished, he thought he had left some airplanes in it, and took the covers off again and shook them. He made the bed again, and this time it was neat and smooth, and Hubert was proud. He was under the desk finding the last piece of the little builder when he heard the music again. He put the piece in the box, put the box in the closet, and tore down the stairs and out the front door. There they came, Mrs. Piggle Wiggle, all the children, and the circus. Hubert ran out to meet them, and nobody said anything about the pan of orange paint stuck in his hair, or the word XYPGUN printed on his cheek in purple ink. Anyway, they went down the street, and Hubert was carrying the flag and yelling the loudest. What a great way to get out of your bedroom, right? To put away all his toys and all of his things, made his bed, and then he was able to go join the parade and the circus. I would love it if you draw a picture of the Mrs. Piggle Wiggle and Hubert and the parade with the circus and send me a copy of it. That would be a wonderful picture for today. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll see you again in a couple of days. Have a good weekend.